£20 return, absolute bargain.
Yeah.
We are back.
We are home.
We are Wimbledon.
Hello there. Here we are. We are back here at Plough Lane. We've been joined by some more people today. In fact, we are joined today by Andy Brassell. Andy, how are you? Good to see you.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And we're joined, as ever, by two people who are here for every game. They'll be talking to you about it later. It's Rob and Mikey.
Good evening, everyone. Good to be here.
So there we go. What we're going to do, first of all, we thought we'd remind you what happened the last time we were all here, which wasn't very long ago. It was only on Saturday, after all. You might remember it, but let's have a look anyway. Well, there we have it. I know you've probably all seen that before. I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times already, particularly that last goal. Andy, as the person who wasn't here, what did you make of Saturday?
I particularly like the bit after that magnificent goal for where you just see Assal go out of picture, presumably to pick up the Ballon d'Or from the corner of the pitch. Well deserved.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it? Now, Mikey, I've got a question. You're the man with all the stats.
Is it football, the question?
It's absolutely football related.
Oh, marvellous, thank
you. When did we last hit the crossbar 3 times in a game?
Exactly. I mean, it's the question we've all been asking, isn't it? I mean, it's not easy, is it? You know.
Have we finally found a question you can't answer about Wimbledon history? Good heavens.
Hitting the bar there, Charlie. I mean, I'll give you data results, scorers, attendances in some instances, but that's probably beyond me. So apologies to one and all. And
Well, we'll be hearing from Mike's endless treasure trove of stats shortly. But before we do that, let's hear what Robert had to say about that win on Saturday.
Robbo, that's 12 goals in 3 games. How do you sum up how this has really turned around from a couple of weeks ago?
Because I think the players believed in what we're doing. I still maintain it's people will say it's very easy for me to say it when you've done that. You've scored 12 in 3, but there were lots of things that were right in what we were doing. And there was some bits missing, but I still think there were performances. Plymouth away. If you look at the stats in terms of chances and shots and clear chances were very similar to, not today because I know we had loads of chances, but the Ipswich game when we didn't put the ball in the back of net. So we talked about finding those extra layers, and we found them. So I still maintain. People might hate the word, that it has been a process. We had to get solid, we had to get hard to beat, which we did, and then obviously that's quite hard. Then you need to find the goals, and we found them the last 3 games. But nothing's cured. We got to keep doing it. Teams are going to look at us now and look at what we're doing and how we hurt them, and we've got to keep pursuing ways to keep hurting teams and scoring goals.
Some of that attacking interplay in the first half, though, Andy Brassell, Ollie, Joe Piggott, it was really pleasing to watch.
No, I mean, going forward was the best we've been. There's no doubt. We played so quick and in so varying ways, whether it was quick combinations, one touch, going in behind. There was a bit of everything going on, as well as some great individual skill as well, and that carried on for the beginning of the second half as well. Ollie down here on the touchline. So no, I mean, going forward, we were so exciting, but there were still things that we needed to improve on defensively. I didn't think we looked as solid today. In certain areas, we could have found ourselves one down early on, and we didn't start the game well enough. And we've had a chat in there now of how, if this happens again and we're in front like that, how we finish games better, because I think we needed to finish the game better.
So that was Mark Robinson there talking after the game. Obviously, the games come thick and fast these days. So we sent Chris Savin down to the training ground on Monday to catch up with Rob Tuvey. We'll have a look at that, and a reminder that these interviews in full, as well as some more excellent work from Rob Cornell here, who's been down talking to returning players, you can find all of those on the club's YouTube channel. But for now, we're going to take a look at Rob Tuvey.
Really good news coming out of the training ground today with Shane Harris and Terrell Thomas stepping up their training. Bring us up to date with them and the plan for them moving forward.
Yeah, so it's their first session today where they're out on the grass and having full contact in the session, which is fantastic to see. It's so good to have Terrell back. He's such a big personality in the squad, so it's absolutely superb to see him back. Shayon is slightly ahead of Terrell at the moment. Shayon will look to get minutes on Thursday against Balham in the London Senior Cup. Terrell's probably a week or 2 away behind that, but we're really pleased to have them back, and it was nice that Robbo got the lads to clap them in before training today, and they're 2 great lads, and we're fantastic. It really makes the squad even stronger, really, so we're really happy to have them back.
In terms of the squad from Saturday, is everyone fit and ready to go?
Yeah, everyone's fit. The lads, a couple have been off feet today, just a few bumps and bruises that we need to take care of. But overall, everyone's still fit and ready to go.
So no fresh injuries from Saturday?
No.
Good. Is the message basically there can be no let up? We need to get to around 50 points and keep going?
Yeah, we don't set points targets. It's one game at a time. We go into every game and see 3 points to aim for, really, and that will be no different on Tuesday night. So yeah, we just go game by game, really. We're not looking ahead. That's the job of the analysis team. They're looking the game ahead. Us as coaches, we're sole focused on Oxford and making sure that we can pick up 3 points.
Does it help that we've played Oxford quite a few times this season in terms of planning?
It does, but we're in a different place now. We're a completely different place. The way that we're approaching the games is completely different now, and the threat that we pose Oxford is completely different now. So I'd like to think that, yeah, we've got to do our homework on Oxford, but it's always 80% us. So we've been looking today at us and how we're going to take the game to them rather than all the problems that they can pose. Obviously, we're very aware of that, but it's about us.
So that was Rob Tuvey there. I'm off to go and check the team news because we haven't actually got the lineup graphic sorted yet. So while I do that, we're going to hand over here to Mikey and Rob to give us their thoughts on Saturday and just look ahead to tonight's game. I expect some stats here, Mikey.
Absolutely. Thanks, Charlie. Yeah, what a game we've got in prospect tonight, Michael. Of course, both these sides going into it 3 wins apiece. It matters at both ends of the table.
Yeah, both sides. Again, the Dons obviously with their 3 the victories in the last 3 matches. Have scored 12 goals in the last 3 league games, having managed 12 goals in the previous 20. The run, of course, starting at Oxford on Boxing Day. Really in prolific form, and again leaving some of us wondering where these goals have suddenly come from, but of course not questioning it too much, just enjoying the ride at the moment. Oxford United again sort of a little bit topsy-turvy with their form, beating at home by Accrington, and then they'd won 6-0 at Crewe. They were 2-0 down to Gillingham with about a quarter of an hour to go on Saturday, then came back to win 3-2 right at the very end. So again, one that would be very difficult to predict this evening, I think, Rob.
But of course, Wimbledon's youth team beat them in the FA Youth Cup this season. But apart from that, 3 other competitions we've met them at first team level. Oxford winning on each occasion. So something to try and overturn that tonight, of course.
Yeah, you had the Carabao Cup defeat on the 5th of September there, and of course it could have been different if Anthony Hartigan had put away that penalty in normal time. Then we had the routine 2-0 defeat on Boxing Day, despite that resurgent second half performance, and then a more one-sided display from Oxford, of course, back on the 2nd of February in the Papa John's trophy match. So we certainly owe Oxford one this evening, not just for this season, but also I think the overall kind of the pattern of history as well is very much in their favour. But of course we saw last week against Ipswich, who we hadn't beaten in 10 previous attempts, were well and truly put to the swords. Let's see if another historical sea change perhaps can prevail this evening.
Confidence does everything, of course, as well, and I was fortunate to be down at the training ground in the build-up to this one yesterday, and Mark Robinson saying to the troops as well that, you know, if they play to the same way, the standards that they have been playing in recent games, it doesn't matter who they're playing against tonight, they will win.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we've seen the way they've clicked into the attacking gear in those last 3 matches. Unprecedented success, obviously, at Accrington. As I said, never beaten Ipswich before. Put them to the sword on Saturday, and then the Saturday against Swindon Town. Admittedly, against a very poor Swindon side. Again, defensively capitulated pretty early in that one. But you've still got to put away the chances. Other opportunities. I saw we hit the woodwork a good number of times, and it could have been an even greater margin of victory. So if they can carry on in that vein this evening, no reason why they can't register a 4th victory on the bounce for the first time since the promotion season in 2016.
Statistically, what are we kind of like on these days?
Well, the previous Plough Lane statistics for Oxford, they won 3, drawn 2. The only victory for ourselves, 1st of November 1983 by 3-1. We know what it's like at the Kazam Stadium, you know, and the Manor Ground, only 3 wins in the entire Dons history. We've played them twice before on the 20th of April. Oxford have won both of those in 1982 and 1987. And another thing today, they're celebrating the 35th anniversary of winning the Milk Cup at Wembley, when Messrs Houghton, Hebbard and Charles put QPR to the sword. So very much an Oxford kind of uptick in terms of their stats. But as I said, we turned things around last week against Ipswich. We're on a real run of form, averaging 4 goals a game in the last 270 minutes. So let's bring on some more yellow and blue Dons-based joy this evening, Rob.
Absolutely. In terms of looking at the team tonight, it's just a slight tweak, I think, from Mark Robinson. It's Che Alexander coming into the side, Luke O'Neill down to the bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's just being sprung on me right now. I haven't seen the lineup, so I'm assuming that, yeah, it is pretty, yeah, it looks like it, yeah. So O'Neill just down to the bench. Again, we've seen that recently anyway, where Alexander has come on for O'Neill in the latter stages of matches. Obviously, just a very like-for-like swap. So, and again, that's the continuity I think that they're sort of looking for as well. That will obviously breed extra confidence, the familiarity, everyone knowing the positions, little kind of telepathic understanding springing up sort of all over the field, and certainly a very optimistic basis on which to face Oxford this evening.
Yeah, there's competition for places at the moment. It's good to see Terrell Thomas and Shayon Harrison both involved in training yesterday. They won't be involved tonight, but they could be soon as well. Yes,
and how heartwarming that was to hear the round of applause for Terrell Thomas when he took his place back on the training field. Shayon Harrison, obviously very unfortunate with that injury, exactly 2 months today at Peterborough. But 2 players very desperate to get back in the fold and maybe give some late kind of embroidery, if you like, to the late season shenanigans for the Dons, just to close out that place in League One for next season, hopefully.
Well, listen, we better get moving. We better get down into our commentary position, because it's a 7 o'clock kick-off tonight. So everybody around the world, do make certain that you
join us.
Thank you very much there to Rob and Mikey. They're going to be off to join their commentary duties, and again, do go and sign up for iFollow to join with them. So fantastic, gentlemen. Go in and get ready for your commentary. So, Andy, you've had a really quiet week this week then.
Yeah. A few days off last week, but back in with a bang with all the Super League stuff. Breaking on Sunday night when I was on air on TalkSport, and I was just enjoying basking in the glow of the Swindon game, and then all this was sprung on us.
Yeah, it's been quite extraordinary. I think you've been pretty busy talking about it, but what? We'll get onto the Don's Trust reaction in a sec, but from your perspective, this doesn't look like sabre rattling. This looks like they really mean it this time, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the pandemic's clearly being used as an excuse. But personally, I think it's very, very difficult to pull off, especially when you bear in mind the diverse interests of the 12, and also I think the fact that the German clubs aren't involved. Now, obviously, I follow German football and German football culture pretty closely for The Guardian, and this was always going to be nearly impossible to get past German fans. And funnily enough, it's one of the rare occasions that you see direct action from a fan's perspective in English football has been here, has been us, really. It's something that I think we can be immensely proud of. Without being preachy, I think it's something that can be an example to the rest of English football, because I think for once, at least we're seeing a cause where fans can put club loyalties aside and there is some sort of unity. And I think when it came to us back in 2002, it was clear that even if people weren't directly involved, I think most fans could see that could be our club, and people came together for it.
Yeah, I think that's true. It seems like it does feel like it's the first thing in ages where, and you said something similar to this on TalkSport already, where most fans of the Big Six actually accept that they've done something wrong for once. It isn't full of people going, oh, you can't criticise my Arsenal because, what Man City are just as bad or whatever. It feels like certainly anyone that goes to games is pretty united in telling clubs they've got this one wrong. Yeah. Optimism?
I think that's it. I think we can be quite quick in British football culture to say very much like, I can criticise my friends and family, you can't criticise my friends and family, and people feel that way about their football club, which I understand. But I think what the Wimbledon story is above all is realising that fans have power to do something, to change something. And also, if worst came to worst and the Super League were to happen in the format that it's been presented, there is life after that. I think, again, we're a great example of that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Obviously, you've had a weird season all round in that you'll normally at least get to go around Europe to watch games. You basically spend all Sunday now pretty much glued to the television to see games coming in from all around Europe. How much have you managed to keep up with what's been going on here this season?
Bits and bobs. I have to say it's been nice being able to see the games and watch the odd games with friends sort of on a Zoom call. I've found that's quite a nice way to do it. You get one screen on the Zoom, one screen on the iFollow, which is pretty good. But the thing is,
that wasn't so good for a while this season, though, was it?
No, that's true.
We did dredge out the stats in Oxford. Mikey mentioned it, but of our 3 defeats to them this year, one of them was in the middle of that run of 11 games without a win on Boxing Day. And Christmas and New Year, I don't think you were really gathering around for family Zoom viewing them, were you?
No, I think that's the thing with Wimbledon are very much the opposite of, say, Neighbours in the old days, where you could miss 10 episodes and pick it up straight away. So much changes in such a short space of time here, so you need to watch every single episode of the AFC Wimbledon story.
It's a good plug. It's a good plug. And speaking of the AFC Wimbledon story, I understand you're working on a series yourself about the events that brought the club back to Plough Lane.
Yeah, for Football Ramble Presents, we start with the Bond and everything around that back in a year and a half ago.
It was only a year and a half ago. I know it feels like longer.
It's incredible. At that point, I think everyone thought the Wimbledon fairy tale had come to its conclusion and the Hollywood credits were already rolling. But obviously, there was a lot more to it than that. And Wimbledon fans outdid themselves again. So we look into that and we get a bit of a flavour around the games as well. Because on Football Ramble Presents and in my series on that I'm normally doing when we're allowed out and about, and more importantly fans are allowed out and about, we do At the Match, which tries to take the podcast out into the stadiums and get a bit of that atmosphere. So, whether you can make it to Milan or Malmo or Dortmund or not, you can be there with us, and we've tried to bring a flavour of that into the Wimbledon series that will be forthcoming.
And I know you were here for the first game with your journalist hat on. I think audibly sobbing into the record. Was it as you walked as you walked home? I can't remember one or the other. Is this your second trip down here with your press hat on? Or?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is, and a lot's changed. Having a bit of a look around the ground, and it's all really coming together, which is pretty fantastic. Of course, on my first visit, the first thing I did was scout out my INC, take a few photos from the sidelines for friends and family. But now it's all looking very real, with of course only a month to go till the test event.
Absolutely. Can you make it to the test event? Or
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll be there. I mean, it's a test event is about right, isn't it? Because it's the event rather than the game. But to see even 2,000 people here will be quite a moment.
Yeah, it'll be enormous. I was talking about our series At the Match. I mean, I've probably been to about sort of 7 or 8 games this season, and done programs for a few of those. Comfortably the best one of them was not Spurs, not even here, to be honest. It was at Peckham Town, because 200 people were allowed in, which was a club record crowd for them at the time, back in September, October. And the sheer joy of having fans watching their team, and I'm giving you like the feels of Sandhurst here. It was incredible. It was so special, and that's what everyone's working towards.
And Robbo's been talking a lot in interviews. He's talked about this. He's talked about this in interviews, both through the club and when he's been talking to other podcasts and other people as well. He very much sees it as being part of his role and the players' role to build that connection with the fans and to try and keep it going. I think it does feel like watching these displays on iFollow. It does feel like there's quite a lot to identify with at the moment, despite the spatial disconnect. It feels like they're playing like a team that we would recognise as the qualities we want to see.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, isn't it? The way that Robbo manages to tap into the soul of the club. In that sense, is a bit like a sort of League One Diego Simeone. But when it comes to the actual football, wow, it's a different kettle of fish. It's been absolutely amazing to watch, and that those young players like Andy Brassell and Jacques Roudonia at the heart of it is so special.
Yeah, I saw him called Merton Mourinho last week, which I thought was actually quite insulting. But you've really upped it by calling him the League One Diego Simeone. But,
as long as he doesn't want Simeone's wages.
No, absolutely. I think that's probably fair. Now we did dredge back in the archives, but for 2 reasons. Partly because it's very hard to find a game against Oxford that isn't unremittingly depressing, and secondly because it's quite rare that we score 3 first half goals. So what we did also find was an example of one of the last times that we actually scored 3 goals in. Now, does this bring happy memories back for you, Andy?
It brings back great memories for me. It was the first match that I watched on television with my 2 young children, and they paid some attention to it, which was nice. But also, I think sometimes we can underestimate, because it's all about community, that Wimbledon do have this international reach, and I think when we get to the second goal, that becomes really clear. I mean, that strip always speaks to me, just because it's Accrington, isn't it?
It does. It makes you think immediately of Accrington away.
I feel it just makes me feel so special whenever I see it. But this is the one.
Moment here. Come on.
And this on French television here, where Parrott kind of over controls it and then makes the studs up pass to Darius Charles for what's an amazing finish, by the way. It was described as passe décisive à la anglaise in France as their assist of the week on Canal Plus, which I think was a pretty good description of it.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think a fairly random League One game made it to be assist of the week in France. That was a cracking finish as well. The game went downhill from there, so we didn't go downhill. We won 3-1, but it petered out.
That's the denouement.
After that,
if we stay in French.
Exactly. Fin, as they would say in France. Yeah, absolutely. There we go. So brilliant to have you back down here, Andy.
Thank you.
Well, you've obviously been keeping up as best you can. How close do you think we are now to securing that place to stay in League One?
Tantalisingly close. And honestly, I wouldn't have thought it possible 3 weeks ago, or maybe even less than 3 weeks ago. You know, the games.
I think 8 days ago is when we were 9 days ago.
That's it. The games are so unremittingly sort of squidged together that you kind of forget like how recent it was. But it just didn't feel like we could score for love nor money. There didn't really seem to be the conviction there. I was saying to someone earlier, I kind of felt that Robbo was building something pretty special, but maybe we'd see it next season, a la Harry Bassett, really. Once we perhaps even gone down to the fourth tier. Was that before
your time, or were you there as a
Oh no, that was before my time. But I like to thumb an odd history book, you know. And just what's happened since then has been absolutely glorious, and see Asal and Rudy at the heart of it again, as I say, amazing.
And with maybe one more win might even do it.
Yeah.
It would be nice to overturn our generally poor record against Oxford.
Yes.
And so far we've managed to get almost through an entire preview show without suggesting it's always nice to beat a team managed by Carl Robinson. But it would be nice to do that, wouldn't it, Andy?
Wouldn't it just?
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah. So we let you all go and head over to join iFollow. One bit of housekeeping I should say, referring to the European Super League, is Joe Palmer issued a statement on behalf of the club, but also Xavier Wiggins and Niall Cooper on behalf of the Trust issued a statement today. The Trust have been working already with a few other like-minded clubs. There's already been a bit of a groundswell around trying to reform some football governance, not just necessarily by fan-owned clubs, but by clubs who share a similar ethos. So they don't have to be majority fan-owned, and that was already in train. Niall in particular has been doing a lot of really good work on that. So look out for the Don's Trust statement, and hopefully there will be more to come, because in a weird kind of way it does feel like this could be a bit of a catalyst to galvanising it, because it's so far over the top that it's caused a lot of people to get involved where before they were maybe not as bothering. Yeah,
I agree, Charlie. I just think that football fans have got an enormous amount of power, and maybe football fans in this country have only really just start to realise that. I mean, anyone who's watched football on television in the last year can tell you that it's just not the same once the whistle goes. They need us more than we need them.
Absolutely, but not down here. Down here we all need each other.
Exactly.
Okay. Thanks very much, everyone.
We are back.
We are home.
We are Wimbledon.